So storage is corrupt on this device, and I think that's the flash chip here. So you're probably wondering what this thing is. Well, it's a what's called a silent generator, or like a huge battery bank, for want of a better word. They're used on things like building sites. And what happens is this part here is normally filled with lead acid batteries, but they've already been removed. So off-site, this thing gets charged up. It then gets taken to a building site, and then it can be used to power pretty much anything that's on site. Let's have a look around the front. So what we've got here is we've got 3 big Victron inverters. And what those do, they convert the battery power into mains voltage. And they're also battery chargers as well. Each one of them can give out 140 amps of charge. So they're actually inverter chargers. There's lots of other stuff in here as well. We've got some contactors. There's a current sensing coil here. I think that's for an RCD. We've got a load more breakers down there. Some big main sockets. We've got a timer relay module here. And I think what that's for is for a remote start generator. We have a battery monitor, which monitors the batteries, and it sends it back to the main brains of the unit, which I've just taken out here. And then we've got some more breakers down here. There's also a big contactor down here. And up here, which if I just turn the light on, a torch, we've got a cellular modem, or a cellular router, which looks like it does Wi-Fi as well. And we've got a DC to DC converter, which takes the power from the batteries and then powers that. There's also a USB GPS module here as well. Round the other side here, I don't know if you can see, we've got a big current sensing shunt here, which also sends information back to the main unit. And round here we have a huge breaker which is used to disconnect the batteries. So that's the main input to charge it up, which is quite substantial. And we've also got a maintenance input which you can use to charge it as well at a lot lower speed. So these are 2 of the outputs on it at the bottom here. And we've got another 2 outputs up there. So this does 3-phase output and single phase. And it's a ton weight, and I mean literally, it hasn't got the batteries in, it still weighs about a ton, and with the batteries in I think it's 4,000 kilograms, which is about 4 ton. Well, for testing purposes, I've just wired up this car battery in a set of jump leads, just up to this point here. And it seems to be booting up on the display here. So we'll see what happens when it finishes booting. Well, it's finished booting up and we've got a notification here, so I'll just select that. And what we've got is this error here, number 42, saying storage is corrupt on the device. So that doesn't look very good. So I've brought the module over to the blue mat. I've got it hooked up to the bench power supply. You can see it's powered up there. And we've still got the error message there. I'll just zoom down a bit. So storage is corrupt on this device. So what I've tried so far is I've tried reinstalling the firmware. You can use an SD card in the little slot here. So I've tried that. And I've also tried with a USB stick in one of the USB sockets on the back here. And it hasn't made any difference. So let's take it apart, let's have a look inside of it, because I couldn't really find any videos or any pictures of what's inside one of these, so let's do that. I'll just switch it off first. So I've got 2 screws on the back. So it looks like it's got a little sub board there. A little bit like a Raspberry Pi type arrangement thing. I don't know if I can make any numbers out on any of these ICs very good. So what I might do is I might get this under the microscope and we'll just have a look over the board just to see if there's anything obvious on the board. Right, I've got it under the microscope. So I've got a few chips here. That one looks like a serial EEPROM. I'm not sure what that one is there. 245 could be some kind of bus driver or something like that. And I think that's the flash chip here. I think we've got a couple of RAM chips under here. This is the main processor. Ethernet chip possibly. Not so sure on that one. That one looks like power management or something. We'll have the inductors around it. And that looks about it. I might get this board out and we'll have a look on the other side of it. Right, that's the board out. Let's flip it over. Little 12 megahertz crystal. Not sure what that IC is. Doesn't really appear to be a lot on this side of the board. So this error 42 apparently is a permanent flash failure. And it means that this IC here is degraded and no longer reliable from what I can find on the internet. And what you are supposed to do is send the whole unit into Victron for replacement or repair. So I don't fancy doing that myself. So I'm going to see if I can fix it. So I wonder if I can copy the files off here. So what I might do is try and connect it to the computer. And we'll see if we can talk to this chip here. See if we can get into the operating system and see if we can see exactly what's going on. Right, I'll go and get the laptop set up. So as far as I know, nobody else has fixed one of these. I think they've all had to be sent back to Victron. So what I've got here is the Ethernet cable. So I'm going to plug that into here. I'm going to go into the settings. That's the notification there, just saying that it's corrupt. So I'm already set as super user, and if you're not set as super user, if you hold this button down for 5 seconds, it brings it up as super user at the top here, but I've already done that. Right, I want to enable SSH on LAN, and I need to set a password, so let's just make it, it's got to be 6 characters minimum. So let's make it AAAAAA. Right, let's go over to the laptop screen then, and we'll see if we can connect to it. I'll just check that I've got an IP address actually. Just go back there. Because we'll need the IP address to connect to it. And there we go, 180. Right, let's jump over to the computer screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is fire up a program called Putty. And we want to connect via SSH. I'm going to type the IP address in. Log in as. I want to log in as root. Make this window a bit bigger. And the password we set was AAA. And there we are, we're in. Right, let's just go to the root directory and we'll just have a look here. Right, so the problem is supposed to be with the data partition, which is just here, which is 32 megabytes. Tell you what, let's just have a look at the messages just to see what's gone on as it's booting up. So this is from when it's first switched on. To see if we can see any errors or anything like that. There's our flash chip. So that's it there, the MT29F4G16, and then a few numbers and letters after that. And there's our partitions. Now that's interesting. I've just noticed a warning here saying the ECC used on your system, 1 byte for 256 bytes, is too weak compared to the one required by the NAND chip. So 4 bits per 512 bytes, and we're only using 1 bit in 256. So I'm wondering if the flash chip is actually faulty or if it's just been corrupted. Well, I can't see anything else on there. So everything's supposed to live in the data. So these are all the files that are stored in the configuration folder. So that's all of the settings file and things there, settings.xml. So there's all the settings for the device. There's quite a bit in there. So I think what I might do first is back all of this lot up. So I'm going to pop an SD card into the unit. And that looks like our SD card at the end here. I'm just going to make a folder called data on the SD card. And then I'm just going to copy everything onto the SD card from this data folder. Right, so now if we go to media, and then go to data, you can see there that we've backed up all of those files. So I'm just wondering if we can find out what the health of the UBI partition is, where this data and everything's stored. And this actually says it's okay. So what I'm thinking about doing is trying to reformat it. We'll try reformatting this data partition here, this data. We'll try deleting it, recreating it, and then we'll see if that cures the problem. Because we've got a backup of the files now, so if anything goes wrong, we can always copy the files back. Right, let's just get out of here. And I'll try unmounting this. And then I'll remove the SD card. So let's see what was mounted again. So we've got data there, so let's try unmounting that. And we can't unmount it because it says it's busy. So there must be other stuff using the data folder that we need to stop accessing. And according to this, it just looks like there's just one process. Let's see what happens if we kill that. It spawns another one. So can we do something like this? Hold on. If I get the process number right. So it doesn't look like we can unmount data because it's busy. Let's see what UBI commands we've got. What's UBI scan do? Well, that's interesting, because it's saying there that it's got 0 bad blocks. So I've got error 42. And UBI is supposed to work around any bad blocks as well. So even if a block has gone bad, it should just be marked as bad, and then it should just continue. So I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on the UBI format and how to detach it, I think. So it's been a little while, so what I've found out I can do is to kill these services here. We can then see what's being used, and there's still one process using it. So then if we try and run a big line of commands all in once, like this, so that's going to kill anything that's using data, unmount data, and then truncate data. So basically close this data partition off. Let's see if that did anything. Looks like it's still there. I don't think I like that. Well, that totally crashed it, so I'm just having to reboot it. Let's just see if it boots back up. Well, it's booted back up. No. I don't seem to have any notifications. Ah, you. I thought that had done it there for a moment, but I guess not. Well, that's interesting. I've just tried to connect. That's the noise there, just saying that I can't connect. So what's happened here then? Let's have a look. Well, that's interesting, because we're back to user and installer now, we're not super user. So it looks like that has indeed deleted all of the partition. And it looks like it's reset it to defaults. Let's just go on to a network setup here. So I've got an IP address. Right, let's hold that down for 5 seconds. Yeah, that's switched off now. And it's deleted the password. So it looks like this actually has reset it, but we've still got the 42 error. So it has made some difference. We've definitely reformatted this partition. I wonder what it says in the debug messages. Let's just jump back over to the computer and we'll have a look. Right, let's just try and restart the session. And we've got a different key there now, so it definitely has changed. And we're back in. Let's just have a look back through this log here, just to see what's gone on. It'll be after this part somewhere. Ah, here we go. UBIFS02. Default file system created. So we actually have reformatted that partition by the look of things. So let's just go into data. Yeah, there was definitely more files in here before. So it's definitely been recreated. So why have we still got the error then? So I started having a look on the Victron GitHub repository to see if I could find out where this error was being generated from. And it looks like this is one of the functions here, which returns true or false for data partition error. And it looks like it checks this file here called run data partition state. So let's do cd run, and we'll just cat data partition state. And here it says failed. So I need to find out where that's being filled from, or what actually puts failed into here. So I've had a look around the file system and I found a couple of interesting files here. There's one here called test data partition and another one called report data failure. So let's have a look at those. Well, it's got some info at the top. So there seems to be two different causes. One is recoverable with a reboot, the other one ECC failures. So the following is done. If it becomes read-only for the first time, it's stored in a U-boot environment variable and the machine is rebooted. After the reboot, if the data partition doesn't become read-only for quite some time, but if it becomes read-only again, the device is marked as broken. Interesting. So it looks like it uses this command here. Let's try that. Let's have a look through this lot, see if we can see anything. What's this at the bottom here? Data failed count equals 2. Because it says if that happens twice, it's permanently marked as failed. So what happens if we reset that to 0? So data failed count equals 0. Let's try reading it now. I can't even see where it's gone. I just need to put it in quotes maybe. I think I worked out what I was doing wrong. No equals sign. That's better. Data failed count equals 0. Now there's another one which was the report data failure. That looks like an interesting command as well. Get unique ID. I think that's what it uses for the VRM. Now I know people were asking, is there a way to change this? So I might actually have a look at that command to see exactly what that does. So let's go back to the run folder. And we'll just cut this data partition state, which says failed. Right. Let's see what happens if we reboot it. Well, let's just boot them back up. Let's see if that's made any difference. So I'm kind of thinking, is it just because they're using 1-bit ECC instead of 4 bits? I want to have a look at the data sheet on this flash just to see what it recommends. So I searched for this flash IC that's in the unit, which is this one here. And I've got the data sheet up here. So if we just have a look at that, and it says here error management details, and it says minimum required ECC, and here it says a 4-bit ECC per 528 bytes. Well, the Victron unit here is only using 1, so I don't know why they're doing that. I'm just wondering if that's the cause of the error, and it's not actually a flash problem, it's just been just like a one-off maybe. Right, it's just finished booting up. We'll just give it a moment just to see if we get the notification of the flash failure. Because I think it took a little bit of time the last time. So we'll just give this a couple of minutes. Well, it's been on for a couple of minutes now, because it was 57 and now it's 59, and still hasn't came up with any problems. So what I might do now, just to verify that the flash is working correctly, is we'll just try filling the flash up with some random values. So let's try that. So we're in the data log folder, which is where all the logs get written to. So what I'm going to do is just do this command here, which is going to write 20 million bytes to a file called test file. And let's just see if we get any errors. Well, it seemed happy with that. Let's just check. See if we've got any errors. And no. So that looked like it wrote fine. There's our test file there. So let's try doing a checksum on it. And then we'll give it 10 minutes. And then we'll try doing the checksum on it again. And we'll see if both checksums match. So I'll just paste this command here. So we'll give this 10 minutes and then we'll just try that command again. So while I was waiting, I just thought I'd go into the device menu here and just to see how much free disk space it has for the error logs and things. And because we've wrote a 20 megabyte file, it says there's only 8 megabytes left. So that should go up once we delete the file when we're done. But so far this appears to be working. Well, I've just had to stop recording because this one's busy having an alarm. So I better give this one a hand.
Hey, baby.
Oh, I called for backup so the wife's here.
Joey, baby.
Well, this one's got triplets going on, so there's another 2 to come yet. As you can see, there's a little bit time expired there now, as we've been going from Linux to Lemon, and now back to Linux. Right, let's just see if this checksum's the same. And indeed it is. So the flash does indeed seem to be storing, and it doesn't seem to have any errors. So let's remove the test file. And there we go, we've got 28.8 megabytes free now. So I've unplugged the Ethernet cable and it's now storing the records on the internal flash. So I guess if it contacts the VRM portal through the Ethernet, then it doesn't store them. Otherwise, if it can't connect for some reason, it then starts storing them. Because we've got 3 records stored now. So that should change to 4 very shortly. There we go, 4 records. Yep, stored record 0 now because it must have transmitted them. So I would say this is working as intended now. So I don't know whether this was a permanent flash failure or whether it was just caused by, let's say, an improper shutdown or power failure or something like that. But I can't find anything wrong with it hardware wise. And like I said, I don't think anybody's ever fixed one of these before with that error. So now you know how to fix one. So these are the other screens that you can get up on the device. So obviously it shows the AC input, the AC loads, this is the inverter, and this is the battery storage, and it normally shows you the current flow either coming in or out, either to or from the battery and from the AC input going to the AC loads. And you've also got this display here, which shows things like the AC load, current, the time, the system status and the battery levels. Now one thing I wanted to know was how this value he has made. So I'm going to dive back into the software. So in the SBin folder here we've got this command called get unique ID, which returns this number here, which is the VRM portal ID. So what I did was I used the program called WinSCP to copy it from here and just put it into a temporary directory for now. And then I uploaded it to this decompiler here called Dogbolt. And if we look here, just in the code here, it seems to load this address here, this 48002000, and it seems to use that and then plus 0384 or plus 0380, and that's what it prints out for the unique ID. So I searched for those addresses just to see what would come up, and here apparently it's the Ethernet MAC address. So it appears it uses the MAC address for that ID. So if we run ifconfig here, if we look at Eth0, and if we look at that value there, that's actually the value that it's using for the VRM portal ID. If we just look here, we can see it's actually the same value, ended in E5. So that's how that's calculated. I think it's actually stored in one of the settings files, so it might be possible to change it. So if we have a look in Data Venus here, we've got this file called unique ID, and there's our value. So what happens if we do something like, let's change that to a 6. That looks better. Right, I wonder what happens if we reboot. Right, well it's just finished booting up, so let's have a look to see if it's a 5 or a 6. And it's reverted back to a 5. So I guess it must call that routine and use that to populate the VRM portal ID. I still think it would be possible to change it though if you wanted to. But anyway, at least it seems to be working now, so I think we'll call this one a fix then. Right then, if you enjoyed this video, please give it the big thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, please subscribe. Any comments or questions, please leave it in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Well, she had triplets, but unfortunately we lost one. And we're going to have to do something with this one. Because if you notice, its hooves, instead of them being like that, it's actually walking on them like that. So we're going to bring this one in and try and put some bandage or something around them to try and keep her hooves straight, see if that sorts her out. But yeah, the third one wasn't a good outcome. We tried resuscitating it, or I tried resuscitating it, but unfortunately it doesn't look like I can fix everything. As you can see, lambing's well underway. I've got quite a few lambs there now. These ones are to go yet. These are the ones that we know that are going to be early. That's why we brought them in, because the weather hasn't been so great lately. And these are the ones that are a few days old now. So we'll put them in this part, which we use like a little bit of a nursery. One in the middle of the hay there. Are you getting covered there, mate? Are you getting nice and warm in there? So, a little bit of footage of Savannah with her mum there, just in the field. Should be about 2 weeks old now, or just over. And she's doing well. Just thought it'd be a nice way to finish off the video. Yeah, it's a bit muddy.